In our news bulletin for this evening, a Whangahau Niue Convention raises questions about the status and usage of the language on the island. The New Zealand Search and Rescue conduct scoping exercise in Niue. A language expert is working with teachers and parents to find ways to maintain the Niuean language in school and at home. The World Arc Yacht Race will have yachts passing through Niue. The second Whangahau Niue Written Conventions workshop has revived an eagerness to raise the status and usage of Whangahau Niue on the island. The workshop, convened by the Taonga Niue office, brought together more than 20 participants from different departments and divisions for a robust set of discussions about the value of the language in the different sectors. Language carries knowledge and evolves with time, but its survival is highly dependent on the number of fluent speakers. From discussions regarding Whangahau Niue, it appears that in some areas the language is in dire straits with the immersion of Western ways and the English language into common practices of society. Language expert Dr. Yanni Van Hees was the guest speaker at this convention, posing a few statements for people to consider that the demise of Whangahau Niue is staring you in the face. She said that the most significant languages in the world are those with few speakers, because the sad reality is that they are less spoken, and that poses a potential that they may crumble away. Thought-provoking presentations from the Taonga Niue office, Whangahau Niue Language Commission and the Education Department emphasized the importance of using Whangahau Niue in order to sustain it. An additional challenge put forward was to look at ways to progress beyond day-to-day basics of a language, but to dig deeper to encompass a wide variety of words that will add to the richness of Whangahau Niue as a living language. The responsibility for the use of Whangahau Niue does not lie with one particular department, but with individual people taking on the role as astute guardians of the language, a language that has been gifted by our ancestors, and in turn a sense of responsibility to maintain it for the next generation. Personnel from the Rescue Coordination Centre in New Zealand are in Niue at the moment on a scoping mission to look at ways of how to better coordinate sea, air and land rescue that suits Niue's conditions. Niue is in the search and rescue region from the headquarters in Wellington that includes the Antarctica, with other coordination centres based in Fiji, Tahiti and the Solomon Islands.
It is a scoping visit. It's we're not here to sell anything or buy anything. We're here to find out how you do search and rescue, and if there's any needs required locally that we can assist with, we can try and help that by training. So it's not only search and rescue. There's a maritime safety aspect to it as well. So not only awareness, but maybe perhaps education. And we're looking at, from what I can gather, next year February, perhaps March, there may be a little training package that I will come and deliver. It could be along the lines of just maritime safety awareness, how the distress beacons, your EPIRBs and your personal locator beacons, how they work, and just an awareness of what you need to do. Our concern is coordination. So if somebody gets in distress or somebody's overdue, where do you go? If you send 4 boats out to look, where do they search? People will just go off in their own direction. You need coordination to better enable the person in distress to be have the best advantage of being rescued. So you need coordination.
So your mission is to manage the coordinating.
Well, yes, that is correct. But we'll have to see at what level that coordination or that training is required. It could be the basic, or it could be more advanced, or different levels of training for different people. So you could have different modules. For some, it might be radio procedure, chart plotting. For others, it could be a little bit more. So we'll work hand in hand with all the local authorities, Fishermen Association, the Search and Rescue Police, Fisheries, and we'll bring it all together when we develop a little training package to help assist where we can.
They will head back to New Zealand and draft a coordinated rescue plan to suit Niue, because not all rescue operations are the same everywhere. and it is especially critical that Niue has the right coordination because of its isolation, and that means more efforts to devise a better and workable rescue plan. A language expert is working with the Education Department to help promote the use of Wangaho Niue. Public consultations have been held this week with teachers, caregivers and parents to encourage students to use the Niuean language on a daily basis at home and in school. Dr. Yanni Van Hees is a language expert working at the Auckland University in New Zealand. Last year in October, she was on island to observe and assess the teaching methods of teachers in classrooms and to compile a report for the Education Department. The focus is not only to encourage children to speak the day-to-day Niuean language, but to also use words and phrases used by elders and ancestors in the past.
I do a lot of professional development for teachers, and my expertise is language and language learning and effective ways of teaching and learning, that it seemed then to be an ideal opportunity. So I said, look, do you want me to do some professional development with the teachers? So that was just kind of volunteer stuff, and we managed to fit in some time then. And as a result of that, there was discussion with the Director of Education to say, well, would I like to come and do more work? So last year I came up, we were going to have more time last year, but as things turned out, I spent a week up here, and that 1 week was, it was designed so that I'd begin some professional development with the teachers in the primary school. I did a little bit of work with the teachers up in the high school, and there were also meetings arranged with families of children and also with people who had policy hats on, just to start to talk about the quality of education, about quality of language learning here, and then of course all sorts of things rise out of that. We know that many people live in the villages. There have been at least between 15 and 20 people, a variety of people, who have been engaged and interested to talk about and pose questions and think about the big questions around raising our children, the dilemma of, are we going to use Wangaho Niue? What about the state of English? What state is Wangaho Niue? Where is their loss? And there are all sorts of issues that have arisen out of those discussions. And they are invaluable meetings, I think. They're only the start of what most of the village meetings were strongly of the opinion that actually we've recognised a concern for many years about, maybe we're not really growing and flourishing Wangaho Niue enough for it to stay a strong, working, purposeful language, and that there is this hungry shark called English that's overriding. I think a major thought that is there is that we can't afford to just keep talking. We have to take some actions now.
The purpose of the consultations have been to develop on the knowledge of parents and teachers so they can have a positive influence in our children to be fluent, confident and proud to use proper Wangaho Niue.
One thing I think is that in families, in the small numbers of people, even though they were significant, I suppose in the villages and with families, to say it's the quality of interaction and talk exchanges with your young people, with your babies, with your youth, particularly in Wangaho Niue, that is going to give those children the gift of Wangaho Niue. And if we don't do that, I'm afraid the hungry shark of English will overtake. And they will end not having the language that is their heritage, that is their right, and that they should be able to be strongly owning and fluent in. At the teacher end, it has raised the question, I suppose, that what are we doing in terms of knowing how strong our Wangaho Niue are of the kids that are coming into school at 5 and 3 and 4 at the early childhood level? What about if some of them are coming in with not very much Wangaho Niue? That then goes back to the families and the villages, and then also helping families to understand and everyone to understand that while there's an idea that, English is that powerful language over there, if we're not careful on this nation, at this country, like all the many languages in the world that are being lost day to day, we will lose the power over our own language.
Dr. Van Heath will be leaving the island tomorrow and will return to continue working with parents and teachers in the next few months. Niue has become a permanent fixture as one port of call for the race called the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers that started in 1986, way over on the other side of the world. What started off as an across the Atlantic race is now an around-the-world event over a period of 14 months, starting from St. Lucia in the Caribbean and worked its way down through the Pacific region following the trade winds with scheduled breaks along the way.
You know, what they bring to the economy is it's reasonable for the number of people. They're not fly-in tourists, but they do spend time here and they do come ashore and stock up on foods and fuels and tours, so it's a useful part to the economy. And they also do pay the departure tax too. They pay the usual departure tax of $34 per person, so that goes back into the government coffers as well. So it's great to have them here, apart from what they do for the actual country's income. They're a very interesting bunch of people, and it's really we're really pleased that we're a confirmed stop on the World Arc itinerary for the next few years anyway.
Roughly, there's changes in and out, so it's about 30 boats on the way. So it's a nice group. It's nice to know that there are some boats out there. We keep in contact. We have a radio net twice a day on the single sideband. So, and sometimes you can contact about a quarter of the boats, but by relays, everybody can stay in touch, but you might have to relay 2 or 3 times in order to get in contact with a particular boat. So that's nice. That's a nice safety net to have. When we shift during the night, our shift schedule is that I go to sleep at about 4 p.m. or 1600. I sleep until 9 p.m., which is 2100, and then I take a 3-hour shift, and my wife sleeps. Then I wake up at midnight. I take the 9 to 12 shift, and then my wife comes on at midnight and goes till 3, and then I take over at 3, and then she gets to sleep however long she wants. So that's the most difficult part of it, really. The shift work, especially with just 2 of us here. But it seems to be working out because you just want to make sure you're well enough rested so you can make good decisions.
We are in charge of organize everything, so we are here in advance, so we plan all the program and we assist the boats when they arrive during the mooring, and then we stay with them during the stopover, and then again we give some assistance when they leave, and then after they leave we fly in the new country to wait for them again.
These scheduled breaks gives Niue a decent amount of exposure to the world sailing community. It is also a great opportunity to market Niue to the world's tourist industry. According to the Niue Yacht Club Commodore Keith Vile, the event stopover in Niue gives the local economy a boost as the crews stock up for the next leg of the journey. The individual cost to participate in this event goes into hundreds of thousands of dollars from the moment they prepare for long periods at sea, and with the ongoing maintenance and stocking up of food supplies. Keith Vile is anticipating a fruitful future for Niue at this very time, with every year when these sailing boats sail through Niue. And those are our news stories that we have for you this evening. Do join us again for our next news bulletin next week, and have an enjoyable weekend ahead.